the court said that he could not bring a case on this. His only discrimination facts were that the events happened right about the same time, that he asked for the afternoon accommodation, and they started making the master's degree standard about the same period of time 3 years ago. But that timing alone is not enough to prove that discrimination happened. And his claim that, so that's one point, that time alone can't do it. Second point, he argued that the particular Art Institute did not engage in an interactive process, and they did. They let him have afternoon classes. Later he came back and they said he could have 3 years instead of 2 years to get his degree. But when they got down to this point of the accommodation, he could not identify any reasonable accommodation, because it was not a reasonable accommodation to keep him as high priority when they had a lot of people with master's degrees available to teach the class. And even though this is an education setting, it fits in many kinds of environments where you're pushing people to get higher skills, setting higher standards, and the disability accommodation standard is not completely stop still and make you stay with your old standards. It's a very important concept. AM calls on the little radio thing and says, I need a bathroom break, and the manager says, I'm busy unloading supplies, just wait. 20 minutes later, she calls again. The manager says, just wait, I said, just wait. Of course, the woman is a follow-the-rule person. She didn't leave the stand and go to the bathroom like I would have done and said, what the heck, I'm putting up a sign that says, wait, I'm going to the bathroom. But she followed the rule. The rule was you never leave the check stand unattended. And she wet herself and had complete loss of control with customers in the store. And the company then, Albertson's, now some other name, actually litigated this for a long time, arguing that this one-time event in front of a line of customers and everything was not significant, and that they should not have been punished because they accommodated her lots of other times, but they weren't accommodating her here. And the court said, no, you've got to have a plan. Your plan's got to be implemented. You've got to pass that information on to the other managers. You can't simply say we made up a plan and we put it in a file cabinet someplace and that's it. Case. What Albertsons also was confused on is that under the government code, each one of those subsections is a very separate obligation, a legal duty. And you could be found guilty of failure to engage in a good faith interactive process with the employee. And Albertson spent a lot of time in the case arguing the facts showing that they did end. And at the end result, the court said, get out of here, we know that, we said that. The plaintiff's attorney has told you, you did that. They're not complaining about 12-940N. They're complaining about 12-940M, which is failure to provide the agreed upon accommodation. So don't mush those sections all together. Take each one of them and divide them out and know what your duties are. I personally think that this chain of grocery, fast food, little 7-Eleven type shops got dinged by the courts because they had no system. Their system of giving it to the managers, their system for passing on what the accommodations were just non-existent. And so with that in mind, they got dinged for that. That's why they should have just stuck to physical agility tests, which you can even give before you offer a person a job, because that's like showing that a firefighter can perform certain simulated tasks. They could have given her a fitness for duty by having measured whatever she actually did in taking care of the big loads of napkins, but they should not have measured her heart rate and her blood pressure. And when they did that, they got into a medical exam, and then they were violating both state and federal law on knowing too much about her medical condition and using that medical information to make a decision that she was not healthy enough to return to work. The woman that they said they dismissed for being a bad employee had an evaluation where the supervisor had written, "Keep up the good work," on the goals for the next review period, and he probably should have written some real goals if she was having problems. The second scary fact is that there was testimony that when she told her supervisor she was pregnant, he got a little unhappy and made comments and made her go get a doctor's note, even though she was barely pregnant and she wasn't really showing her pregnancy and it was not causing any problem with her work. In this one, the United Cerebral Palsy, same problem. They heard the woman was pregnant, and after they heard she was pregnant, decided to terminate her for bad performance. In this one, she brought in Me Too statements from all the other women who had become pregnant and been terminated, following that Sprint age case that said that Me Too evidence is per se evidence of the discrimination.